Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel, and today's video we are going to talk about the books that I've read in July and August. I think it has some type of theme that I just discovered after I finished all of them. And here are some of the books that I totally love, or all the books that I've read, but I'm trying to make it very brief. So I've got my thinking glasses on, and let's get started with the first book, Babel by Arif Kwam. A story about these 4 students that are studying in University of Oxford, and basically these students focuses on translating. It's more like a magic thingy because what they do is that they kind of engraph or like they kind of write it on silver. And so basically the silver is not just an object, but it's completely something that can work. Like they want to maintain the bridge because London is full of bridge, or maintains a big building, old building. They will literally use a silver and then they will cast like a spell on it. Everything is more like not automatic, but also not too manual. But as everything goes like this, it will always come into halt. Basically, the silver work thingy that I'm talking to you about is actually an analogy or like a parable of Industrial Revolution. Because in Industrial Revolution, everything is turned into machines, right? And then a lot of people lose their job because everything can be turned into, machine work. And this is why the Babel is such an important book to bring up, because I really love the way that it's not just focuses on full dark academia vibes, but it also talks about more in depth. It talks about racism, it talks about inequality, it talks a lot about colonialism, because these whole students are like come from different country, different place, different cultures, and everything is just coming to one, and then they're trying to build like this toleration towards each other, and then this whole understanding towards each other culture. It's just such a refreshing thing to read in a book. Absolutely love it. And so the second book we have Senja di Jakarta, or Twilight in Jakarta. It is by Mokhtar Lubis, one of my most excited author to read work from. So Senja di Jakarta actually talks about this whole different peoples, but mostly like people in charge of, in government and stuff, that are slowly turning into rats, like always eager for money and like not caring about other people. And then there are some characters that are like the portrayal of society, and just like 1 or 2 characters, but I think those characters is such a good representative towards all the society that are being harmed by these people's egoism. And I really like the book because this book explores the dynamic of the politicians and all the way that they can turn into when they are being circled around with a lot of people who are like always luring for money, and then slowly even the greatest politician or the most loyal politician can turn into very bad because how the circle is. I do think that it's such a good book to discuss because politics is just too dynamic that not a lot of people able to be loyal like the way that they thought they would be. As someone who is currently living in the country that are like being manipulated everywhere, like this person was just like changing rules everywhere so that everything can fit into his narrative. And the Twilight in Jakarta story is still true up to these days. It's still relevant to be read today. Next up, I read Educated by Tara Westover. This is one of my nonfictions I read this month, and I really like it, and I want everyone to just pick the book up, because Educated is not just a book to talk about how certain belief can turn you, but it's also talk about how to having a great resistance towards something that still can be changed. Tara Westover, such a great person and such a brave person. She could turn into what she had changed, like having the family that are like so into the doomsday and everything is just something that cannot be changed, right? Tara able to make her life completely work for her, even destroying all the traumas that she grew up with. When I finished reading it, I was like, oh my god, how could I not read it the first time? If I ever read this the first time before I almost graduating from my current university, I probably gonna be more grateful towards what I have and towards an education that I could have now. I think it's such an important read, especially if you're in the verge of you don't know where to go and you feel like your education is just lacking and falling apart. I think that this book is definitely for you. And next book we have Menyusu Celeng, literally means breastfeeding bore, by Sindunata. Whole story about painter who all his paintings are like bore, not bore like bored, but like bore painting. And it's not just painting, okay? Like when he started the painting the first time, every single thing in that village just turned into bore. Every accident is just boar related. People getting screwed up by boar, all their money and all their materials are getting stolen by boar. How could that happen? Well, because the boar is not real. The boar is a parable of people who are greedy. We don't mean just people in the government, people in the upstate, but we also mean people who are like religious people, children, all the people that you can think of. They most likely have greedy in their heart, and that is normal. Human has that. But this book able to explore the way that your greedy can turn into something unbearable, something intolerable. So it's something that you should think of, okay? It's a parable, but it also is something that could make you reflect on yourself. Am I greedy enough as if I am a boar? Who knows? 1984 by George Orwell. I really love George Orwell work. The one that I've read was Animal Farm. It was dressed in like a fable form, like animal stories, but like
it's super deep.
It's like communism and stuff, and why communism cannot work and stuff like that. I really love it. 1984 is about totalitarianism. So no opinion is worth hearing other than the opinions of the government. And basically in this world, in this story, the world is no ability for you to be free. Like when you're married and you're doing your stuff, you have to only do it because you want to give back to the parties. So because the parties have taken care of you and have given you a job that you are having right now. So you need to produce a baby, and then that baby needs to go back to the parties when they're like older and they can work and they're productive age. You need to give them back. The story basically told when a person finally realized that this is weird, this is not cool, this is not how humanity is supposed to be, right? And so this person finally did like stuff, like try to at least find alliance, but it's not easy. And next book we have is Women in Point Zero. It is one of my other favorite book. It told a story about when a woman is going to be executed because she murdered one person that almost took advantage of her. And I don't know if that's spoiler, but like in order for you to understand what's going on, you need to read it. It's not just gonna satisfy you with whatever I said previously, okay? So even though you know who this person is, what's gonna happen, whatever, you need to know the living of this woman to the point where she ended up in that way. This book made me realize how much women out there are not always having the freedom that we have. You may be living in your house right now and you're like sitting there watching this video, but do you know that certain women out there cannot even grasp the feeling of not being scared when they're meeting with their family because their family just ended up touching them? We're just too lucky to have this life right now. And I think every woman should read it. Every man should read it too. Because it's such an important read to make you understand and give you more empathy towards people who are currently working as prostitutes. There are deeper issues that we cannot just, generalize. And then the next book is Cleopatra and Frankenstein by Coco Mellor. I just wanted to comment about it, okay? I was not quite a fan. This book is too slow for me. I don't know. I feel like I cannot relate to them at all. Even if it's true that I cannot relate because I am not married and I'm like not in that, suburban area of, I don't know, I'm not in New York, I'm not living there, I don't know how the life is there, I don't know how glamorous everything is in there. But this book is just so out of touch from my ability to imagine, and maybe I'm lacking on it. I don't know, maybe because I'm just Asian and I don't really get into that type of, I have to cut that up. I'm just afraid that people are going to come and like,
oh, so you're a reader but you cannot understand this type of thing? Like you cannot tolerate other people's culture?
So I'm gonna stop right there. I'm just gonna say that I cannot relate a lot to it. It's quite different to if an Egyptian cannot speak English, because whatever that brought up in there, it's like a person that is moving overseas and then going to work and then found a man and then that man found out to be abusive towards her. Like, I can imagine that happening to people across my town, for example. But when it comes to Cleopatra and Frankenstein, it happened in the circle of rich people. That is what I want to say. This person is a painter and she could just quit her job and then focuses to be a painter because she have the money. And then there's like this guy who just won an award for best advertisement or whatever, and then this person just like never running out of money. And like, I cannot relate to that. I cannot imagine that this type of thing happened. Like even the painter job is just not something that I can imagine. It's true that some people have painter as a job, like definitely, yeah, cool, but like in my area, in my Asian developing country area, I cannot imagine that. Sorry. But I understand the meaning of it, and I get all the ideas and the whole points to take from the book. And I cannot discredit the fact that this book is quite good in exploring the dynamic of a relationship about marriage, especially when you're not too like understanding towards each other. This one's considered better than It Ends With Us by Colleen Hoover. I've never read that book, but like maybe this, I think, based on what I read and based on how people review It Ends With Us, this is considered to be better, but I don't really know. And now the book that I'm currently reading, I have Mornings in Jenin by Susanna Bulhawa. This book tells a story about starting with a child who was really happy with her best friend, going here and there, playing fun, and then suddenly Israeli settler just came through and then, you know, attacking people and stuff. You could also learn a lot about Palestinian history from this book. And yeah, I really think that this book is very important to be read at this time and age, and I definitely want to read more of books that are talking more about Palestinian history and Palestinian stories. I will get back to you once I'm done with it. My phone camera died. I lost battery and my charger is in a different room. But basically, Mornings in Jenin, I cried at the last like 5 or 6 chapters left. Mornings in Jenin followed along Amal, a child who basically started off very much having the greatest time of her life, being a child and whatever, playing here and there. And then slowly when she got into teenager life first, and she was like facing with this whole like Israeli settler trying to get all of her house and whatever, like bombing everywhere. And then she lost her brother, and then she slowly losing people, and then also losing her mom as like not the being of her mom, but like the soul of her mom just left from her body. And so this story is just full of Amal trying to navigate her life from the childhood to the adulthood. Other than the story of her life, we also got to meet with the fictional thing that was trying to be highlighted, which was the brother that she was lost at the age of, I forgot what the age was, but it was really young. So this brother was finally found out once again, but like become an Israeli once he was stolen from his mother. Like everything in that was just so beautiful. The writing, everything, the way that the diction was picked upon, it's just everything was just so beautiful. I love this and I wish to read more of Palestinian story. Yeah. So that's it, everyone. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope that you like and get more diverse reading recommendations from me. And even though sometimes my books are just like cliche and like all the books that you probably have seen all over TikTok and YouTube, I really hope that my take on every single book can make you become more educated towards different book. I really hope so, because I'm not just like making this video for fun and whatever only. I really want to make this video into like a recommendations thingy, and I really want you to get like some takes from it, not just like from my yapping. You will experience different perspective when you're reading it, or like become more critical when you're reading stuff. Some of my books are actually intentionally read. They are not just like blind reading type of books. So most of my books are actually because I want to show something to the world, or just because I have some significant statement I need to be, you know, highlighted towards all the people who watches my channel, who watches my story, whatever, all the social media where I promoted books. I'm most likely trying to force you a narrative, but maybe you don't feel it, but I definitely do it for intentional purposes. So see you later. Bye.